What's going on? The name is Mamdani. Mamdani. The name is Mamdani. Mamdani. The name is Mamdani. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. First time back since the Blue Wave. Antifa in the chat. Mamdani. Hashtag Mamdani in the chat. Let's go. Let's go. We are back feeling better than ever after the Blue Wave. And Trump supporters are not happy. They are not happy at all. And they shouldn't be, because we are on a roll now. We're going to keep this going. Should be good. Should be damn good. How's everyone doing tonight? Guys, welcome. If you're new here, make sure you hit the follow button. I am new on YouTube. Started this year, didn't start debating until about a few days ago. So if you're new here, make sure you hit the follow button, especially if you are a Democrat, because this is where we're at. I'm still on that blue wave high, too. I really am. Couldn't be happier. Natasha, what's going on? John here says, to be fair, he is doing what he can to take down actual terrorists, but working folks I don't agree with. John, why don't you give a call in? Let's put the phone number up here and make it active, and why don't you tell me what you mean? Right? Because I'm not sure what you're saying is true on any level. I don't think he's taking down terrorists. I think there's been one case of something unrelated to undocumented immigrants, but I don't think Trump is taking down anyone that's... I mean, what are undocumented immigrants doing that justifies their removal? It's really what it comes down to. What are undocumented immigrants doing? Let's take a first call here.
Call from.
Hello. 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 Okay, well, when you call, you got to talk. That person didn't talk. You got to call when you talk. The number's right on the screen there. The number's right on the screen there for you to call. So you can call, have a conversation. If you guys are new here, I am from TikTok. I usually debate on TikTok, but I've just started
Call from. Savannah.
having conversations on YouTube. Savannah, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okay, and why exactly are you a Trump supporter?
Well, because, see, my family has always been a Trump supporter, okay? And
Are
they
you an
have
adult, Savannah?
Yeah.
Okay, how old are you?
I just turned 18 yesterday.
What year were you born? Savannah, don't call. You're a child. I need to speak to adults. I don't speak to the fetus. Yeetus the fetus. I do not speak to the fetus. No offense. I'm happy people are into politics when they're young. I'm looking to speak to adults. If you are an adult, if you don't know who I am, my name's Adam Cray. I debate. I'm one of the bigger debaters on TikTok. I just started debating on YouTube. You can call in, have a conversation. Doesn't even have to be a debate. Just give me a conversation. I'm not trying to dunk on you necessarily. I'm just trying to have conversations. Call in and tell me why you support Trump.
Call from
Yo.
Joe, how old are you?
Man.
Joe, you're a fetus. I said no fetus calls. Okay, I only want adults. If you call and you're a fetus, I'll block you. No fetus calls. Call if you are a adult.
call from
Jordan.
Jordan, I can tell by you speaking you're a
from?
fetus.
Mason Broughton.
All right, Mason sounds like an adult. You're an adult, Mason.
Yes, sir. How are you
Okay.
doing?
I'm good. I just don't want to speak to children, you know what I mean? So, what's going on,
completely
Mason? Do you
understand
support
that.
Trump?
I support policies. I don't know that, I think like a lot of people, Democrat doesn't really fit any particular ideology that most people have. A lot of people, at least where I live, we look
Speak as
more
loud as
at
you can, dude.
policies.
Speak as loud as you can. I need you to speak loud, okay?
Let me switch over to my handset. I apologize. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you better. So, do you support mass deportation as a policy?
No, I actually disagree with a lot of that stuff. I think a lot of people have to understand that Trump does not. I don't even think that Trump is actually Republican. Trump and the quote MAGA are completely separate of the Republican Party. They probably would be more right to say that they have, most people that are in that sphere, especially if you're in deep politics, you either are associated with them or you're against them. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the stuff where they've been infighting recently, and that's because there's a big policy change between, average, what I would consider probably center of left people are going, the deportation, the way that that's been implemented is wrong. There's a right way to do this. I mean, obviously, if you're here illegally, you probably need to go back to where you came from. And on the inverse side of this, we need to have a pathway to citizenship. Now, I'm not smart enough to be able to tell you how that would work, but there needs to be common ground on a lot of stuff. I mean, there's so many things where we could actually have a productive conversation. It's like, okay, should these protests be happening on ICE facilities? No, because people are on both sides of this issue are being hurt. They're being arrested. Their time is being wasted because they're dealing with Fourth Amendment violations at that point. And on the inverse, these are people that are trying to do their job. So, I mean, when we come into these situations where people are on both sides of the issue, what we need to do is we need to be able to sit down and find the commonalities. And
well, let's break this down. What's your first
people are
name
here
again?
illegally,
What's your
if
first
they're
name again?
actually criminal.
All right, let's break this down.
Mason.
Okay, Mason.
Mason.
Let's break this down. So the first part of this, right? And I've been talking to Trump supporters for years. I've been debating politics for years. If you guys are new here, I'm new to YouTube, but I'm not new to debating politics. I'm usually on TikTok if you've never seen me before. And I talk to a lot of Trump supporters. You don't get to pick and choose, right? You either support what's happening or you don't. You said if you're illegal, you need to go back. I would classify these people as undocumented, not illegal. What specifically are undocumented immigrants doing that justifies spending billions, if not trillions of dollars to remove them? You're a Republican. Obviously, you care about the fiscal burden, correct? Can you please tell me what specifically are undocumented immigrants doing that justifies removing them?
Well, and so I want to make sure that I wouldn't call myself a Republican. I would consider myself, for most things, I would actually consider myself a fiscal socialist, meaning that if there's any way that I can help, I will help.
Okay,
but if we can't pay our bills, then we can't do those things.
Okay, Mason.
I'm not in for going into debt to do things. But to answer your question, I apologize for getting off topic. I want to make sure that I answer your question correctly, and I do apologize if I ask. The question is do I support it or not? Is that the question?
Yeah, you can't say that you support some here and some there. I'm asking you, what specifically are undocumented immigrants doing that justifies removing them?
Oh, okay. Well, so the problem is I see it, and again, I'm not smart enough to be able to have maybe a nuanced conversation. Is the way that I'm trying to, and I apologize. I'm not portraying myself correctly here, but a lot of the issue that I see is that, first off, we don't have the money. We legitimately do not have the money to house these people.
Let's just move this conversation along quicker, okay? Because I need to speak in shorter sentences because I have a lot of people to talk to. So you're talking about we don't have the money. What is the fiscal burden?
Well, I mean, so we're talking about a situation where these people are coming in and they are using the resources that should be used for other people.
Wrong.
Please inform me how I'm wrong.
Sure. When we look at the fiscal burden, we have to consider, a number of factors, but most importantly, what are their contributions economically, right? So let's look at their tax contributions. We know that undocumented immigrants, and this is according to the IRS, this is indisputable. And by the way, Republicans, keep crying in the chat. I drink your tears. That's how I keep hydrated. Keep crying. So basically, and guys, I would appreciate hitting the thumbs up button, contributing to the live, gift and goal, all those things. Triggers Republicans, but also helps me push the live. So they contribute roughly $100 billion in federal, state, and local taxes. Guys, stop calling when I'm already talking to someone. Clearly, I'm on the phone, so I can't take a call. So they contribute roughly $100 billion in federal, state, and local taxes. So we know there are significant contributions fiscally, right? And we know that undocumented immigrants don't use federal benefits, which is what you're insinuating. Undocumented immigrants they're explicitly prohibited by law from benefiting from those programs you're referring to. So if they're paying into them and they're not benefiting from them by law, they're subsidizing them. So it's actually the complete opposite, right? They're actually subsidizing these federal programs. They're not using them.
So what about in these, and I will admit that I am completely out of my depth here. Mm-hmm. And this is, obviously I need to go through and I need to do some research on this. And I appreciate you bringing that up to my opinion. And people that are sitting here that are Republicans, remember that discourse, being able to have conversations is part of the reason why that makes this country so great. Mm-hmm. And if people can't get that through their head, they need to jump off of here because they're obviously not prepared to have a conversation.
Yeah, and I totally want to have a conversation with you that results in you obtaining information and using it to go forward in life in these conversations and your opinion politically. Alicia, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Alicia. Seriously, thank you for the support, Alicia. So here's the thing, Mason, right? When I ask you what the fiscal burden is, the fiscal burden doesn't exceed the contributions, right? So they're a net positive on the economy. They commit very little crime. Undocumented immigrants do not commit much crime. They commit very little crime per capita. They commit far less crime than American-born citizens. So what specifically are they doing that justifies spending this amount of money to remove them? Because my plan would involve granting mass amnesty to the undocumented immigrants who are already present in this country, right? Creating more American tax-paying citizens, increasing, right, tax contributions, and ultimately benefiting the American people. There isn't a single study that exists that shows that they're a net negative. And any study that you could possibly cite, I would be able to debunk. I've read them. I know them. Often they cite the FAIR study. I could debunk that for you if that's one. That's the one Republicans for the most part cite. There isn't a single credible study out there that will show they're a net negative on our country.
I mean, my thing is if what you're saying is correct, and I'm going to go ahead and assume on good faith that you are, if there's not, if they're, in the situation, if there's not, then I would have to agree with you, at least on the most part. Now, obviously, you could try and sit there and make, well, what about the people that are on the terrorist watch list and stuff like that? But this is a simple situation. You're not talking about fringe cases. You're like, okay, like blanket over here, and we'll handle the fringe stuff.
Yeah. So in terms of,
I mean, honestly,
let me explain.
It's a crisis.
I'm not completely opposed to removing people who commit violent crime. There are people who do certain things. I'm not saying everybody. Obviously, there's people who shouldn't be around people, and I'm okay with them being returned to their country. I'm just saying, generally speaking, right, it is not productive for our society or our economy to deport undocumented immigrants. That money, that taxpayer money that's being spent, billions and billions of dollars to remove them, is better spent elsewhere. Unfortunately, go ahead.
And I agree with you, at least in principle, because at this point, they're here. Sending them back isn't going to do any good. All it's doing is making some spreadsheets look better. And I would have to, at least in principle, agree with you. Like, okay, yeah, maybe there's increased taxes for instead of the, I don't know what it is on the national average. Maybe it's like, okay, you came here illegally, you're going to pay a little bit more extra taxes for an X amount of time. So that way, if there's any perceived, again, and I have to admit, it's like I don't know everything.
But this is why, Mason, let me just say this, right? You don't really have a reason why you think they shouldn't be here outside of the fact that they're undocumented, right? Well, I want to be clear to you. Number one, it isn't only undocumented people being deported or wrongfully deported. There are people being deported that are documented people. There are people being deported that are what we call lawfully present. Right? There are people being harassed and having their rights violated who are American citizens. This has been a complete disaster. There is no positive to this whatsoever.
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of Fourth Amendment violations due to
absolutely
bogus search warrants and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
There's been a couple of cases of that.
Not a couple. There's been thousands.
Well, when I say a couple, I mean more higher profile. There were a couple in Texas. I don't know the specifics, but there's been some lawsuits filed because of it.
Right. So that's my point. I think,
luckily, those people are able to.
I think you need to, Mason. I think you need to explore why you have this opinion, research in depth what they're doing. Look at the crime rate. Don't believe me. I never tell people to believe me. Go look these things up yourself. This is what American citizens believe, but it's just not true. Listen, I'm going to move to the next caller. Mason, I appreciate you calling in, buddy. Make sure you subscribe and like the channel. I hope you stick around. Take care.
Yeah, take care. Have a good day.
Buddy. All right, we'll take the next caller here. Man, MAGA is super triggered. Why does MAGA get so triggered in the chat? Guys, I would really appreciate supporting the live. You can also support in the link tree in my bio. I would appreciate it. There's Venmo in there, Cash App in there. You can contribute to the gifting goal. All those things, I would appreciate it.
Call from
Bob Dylan.
Bob
accept.
Dylan. You mean the most creative musical artist of all time is calling me, Bob?
Yeah, I am. I'm out here in Vegas.
Nice. So,
I'm
Bob.
now a personal driver on the side.
Nice. So, Bob, what specifically are you a Trump supporter?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. And what did you think about that conversation I just had with the last guest, Bob?
I wasn't there. I was, I'm a personal driver here in Vegas, and I'm waiting for Miss Daisy. I was just playing golf on my phone, and I started scrolling through, and I saw Trump call this number to support. I wholeheartedly support this guy.
Why?
Listen, it's like changing shitty diapers, man. Somebody's got to do it. So, my concern as a 64-year-old normal-thinking white guy is we got to stop the evil from trying to infest the whole world, man. The whole freaking national security. That's paramount to me. Paramount. Okay, I got to go because Miss Daisy's done at 5. Thanks, everybody. My
Hardy
daughter was
har.
born C.
Next caller. If you're a Trump supporter, call in and have a conversation. If you don't like it here, fucking leave. I don't give a fuck. I'm not interested in your feelings about the live stream. Fucking leave if you don't like it. A lot of crybabies in here. I love when people come in a live stream and tell me why they don't like me. Like, if you don't like me, why are you here? You ever seen nerds before? That's what I'm eating. I'm eating nerds.
Call from
Ramon.
Ramon, are you a Trump supporter?
Hey, what's up, man? No, I am not.
Okay, well, I'm looking for Trump supporters, Ramon. I'll give you 15 seconds. Go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to the chat. Keep it up, guys.
Nice.
I'm not a Trump supporter because I feel like there's no reason to stand behind this guy.
I agree, buddy. Have a good one. Man, so many crybabies. Listen, W if you're happy Mom Donnie won in the chat. If you're happy Mom Donnie won in the chat, give me a W. If you're happy Mom Donnie came in, Mom Donnie won, can you fucking give me a W, please?
Call from
Corey Howard.
Corey Howard. How are you, Corey? You got to mute the live stream, Corey.
I got to mute the live stream?
Yeah, because I don't want to hear myself talking in the background.
Okay, no problem. That's fine.
How old are you, Corey?
I am 38.
Nice. And what did you think about the conversation I had with the last guest?
Well, from what I heard, it was that he is not a Trump supporter, so it kind of doesn't make sense, but I'll go at it this way. I am a Trump supporter, but currently the whole administration, I am both against the left and the right at the moment, just because of the plain and simple fact that I feel like no matter what way we turn here, we're against the American people, no matter what. Whether you're left, right, doesn't matter. Now, mind you, I am a conservative, and I do support Trump. I voted for him in 2020, and the problem with that is now is I agree with a lot of the things he's doing right at this moment, that he is trying to get illegals out of the country. Mm-hmm. Now, I do like the fact that he is trying to do that, but the way he's going about it is extremely wrong at this point. I feel like with the fact that you pick this time in November when you could have originally done it when you first got into office, I feel like that was the best time to go about trying to get the illegals out of the country, but you chose November. Now here's I am
complete agreement with a lot, again, with what Trump is doing. My fiance, who is completely disabled, she is a double amputee. She receives SNAP benefits, and I feel like you chose the worst time in November when it's all the holidays coming up to take the SNAP benefits away from people. It's extremely wrong. But again, I do support a lot of the things that he is doing currently.
So let's break this down. So you're okay with, listen, you're not happy that he's starving people, but it's not bad enough to stop supporting him, basically.
No,
okay. I was clarifying. That's all. Listen, here, let's
with the
Listen,
right,
listen to me.
Absolutely.
Listen to me. I got to move these conversations along quicker. You guys got to talk in shorter sentences, all right? I'm not writing an autobiography on you. So tell me, right, what specifically are undocumented immigrants doing that makes you support this mass deportation operation, considering its cost and its consequence?
Okay, I'm sorry. Repeat that question one more time.
What specifically are undocumented immigrants doing that justifies its cost and consequence? So it costs billions of dollars to remove them, and the consequences have been constitutional rights violations, right? And among many other things. Though that's just some examples. What specifically justifies removing them? Like, what are they doing, right, that's bad, that justifies supporting such a policy?
Well, my biggest issue with it is the fact that you are spending, especially if you're an unregistered immigrant, you're taking millions of dollars away from true Americans that have been here for the longest time, that were born here. You know, you're taking away money that could be pumped into the system, not only just for with the American people, but all types of other programs that could be pumped into the money that could be pumped in. So if you're here illegally and you're being given all these different types of amenities, you're basically that in my eyes is completely wrong. Why should we have to give to illegal immigrants that weren't here and that are doing wrong in my eyes?
So what?
Yeah, that broke the law to come in here anyway.
All right. Well, first of all, so let's establish something. So first of all, I have another question to ask you after this, because you're talking about them taking millions of dollars away from American citizens. So I'm going to ask you, through what programs are they using that takes dollars away from American citizens? But the first thing I have to ask you to try and get an understanding of your position is you're the kind of guy that everyone must follow the law, right? You just believe, hey, listen, if you're here, undocumented, illegally, in your words, you just need to leave because, I think people need to follow the law, correct?
Yes. Yes. In essence, yes, I do believe that.
Okay.
Yes.
So first of all, Andy, thank you for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate you, Andy. The $4.99 super chat. Thank you for supporting Andy. So then the question becomes, and what's your first name again?
Corey,
why did you vote for a convicted felon, 4-time indicted, civilly liable rapist, and civilly liable fraudster if your standard is people should follow the law?
Oh, see, here's the issue with this, right? I voted for him in 2020. I did not vote for him in 2020. I did not vote for him in the last. Well, yes, I did vote for him in that election. My biggest problem is
wait. You did vote for him. Why are you trying to lie?
Well, no, it wasn't that I was lying. It's just like my position has changed in a lot of ways. Because originally I was very much hardcore Republican, and I've changed my views on a lot of this. And in the term that I'm more in the conservative mindset, because I'm on the fence for both sides.
Okay.
I'm both.
Jerry, you said Jerry's your name, right?
No, Corey.
Corey, sorry. Corey, listen. Let's forget about trying to backtrack and now tell me you don't really like them after you just gave me that whole spiel. Your standard can't be the law if you voted for a convicted felon. Your standard can't be the law, right, when people potentially commit a civil penalty if they overstay their visa or commit a misdemeanor. You voted for a convicted felon, 4-time indicted, civilly liable rapist, civilly liable fraudster. That's a fact. So the law does not matter to you. Now, you said undocumented immigrants are taking money away from American citizens. Through what programs are undocumented immigrants using American taxpayer dollars that they don't support through their tax contributions of $100 billion?
SNAP, both SNAP, Medicaid.
All right, let's break it down. Let's start with SNAP. Let's start with SNAP.
Okay.
So,
go.
Undocumented
Absolutely.
immigrants aren't eligible for SNAP.
That's absolutely not a fact.
It is.
That's 100% not a fact.
It is a fact. It's 100%.
No, it's not.
A fact. It is. So what you're referring to are certain people. There are very limited people who can apply for SNAP who aren't American citizens, and those are. And you're talking about like asylees or people. Undocumented immigrants are not eligible. The law explicitly prohibits them from benefiting from SNAP.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that because again, like I just said this before, my fiance, who is a double amputee, who in my eyes deserves, she's disabled, 100% deserves SNAP.
Yep.
I was just in the county building with my fiance, and there were 3 illegals that had just signed up for SNAP and were approved for SNAP.
Wrong. So here's the thing. What you're not understanding, and if your story that you're telling me right now is true, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you've already proven to me you're a dishonest person when you lied about who you voted for, right? And you tried to backtrack and say, but let's pretend for a second you're being honest with me. I'm going to try and explain this to you. And you can, again, I always tell people, don't believe me. Look up the things that I say. What you're struggling with here, right, in terms of eligibility, right, is that lawful permanent residents, like people with green cards, for instance, refugees, people who are asylees, right, those people in very limited circumstances, right, can be considered eligible, but they're not undocumented. Undocumented immigrants, including people who entered without a visa, overstayed their visa, are explicitly excluded from SNAP eligibility. They are not allowed by law to benefit from SNAP. What you're not understanding is it's the exact opposite. Undocumented immigrants are actually subsidizing the programs you're talking about. They pay into these programs without benefiting from them. So take all of 5 minutes, go to Google, and type in, are undocumented immigrants eligible for SNAP? And you're going to see they're not. And you're going to see the difference between eligibility. You're not understanding because you think people seeking asylum are still undocumented. By law, they're lawfully present people. Lawfully present.
So you're saying for me to Google, and it's funny that I'm seeing so many of your chat members saying that I owe them money, money back. I actually have a job. My fiance is completely disabled. She's the one that receives benefits. She can't work, so it's pretty funny that your chat's saying that. But that's besides the point. But you're saying that I should Google this that I'll be able to see. No, I don't need. Here's the thing: is like I don't need to Google something that I was able to see and witness with my own eyes that people were were given.
So let's break it down. You said you saw this with your own eyes. So what were their names?
What were their names?
Yes.
You want me to take down their names?
Wait, so you know their SNAP eligibility, but you don't know their name?
Oh, yes, because as they were coming out of the office, they were talking about how the fact that they were approved for it. I can overhear a conversation. Like,
so Corey, How did you determine their
This never happened?
How did you determine their documentation status?
Because they were talking about it.
But how did you determine whether or not they're asylees, refugees? How did you determine their documentation status?
Because their family members were talking about the fact that they weren't here. They were here without documentation.
Wow, so they walked by you, and in that quick second of them walking by you, they explained their eligibility status to you.
No, okay, so this is I'm gonna paint the picture for you, right?
You're lying. You're a liar because, Corey, the law prohibits them from doing it. And let me explain something to you. I've been debating for a long time. I'll just give you a piece of advice. Personal anecdotes.
The law prohibits them. The law prohibits them from doing so.
Corey.
But there's so many ways to get around all of the systems that you're talking.
No, there isn't, Corey.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not
How are
kidding.
you going to sit there and tell me when I've lived this
You're a
before?
liar,
I've lived
Corey.
everything. Holy
Corey,
cow!
let
You're
me-
going to tell me I'm a liar
You are a
when I've
liar.
lived this before?
Corey, listen.
Okay.
Are you Christian?
How are you going to sit there and call me a? Am I a Christian?
Corey, I'm going to tell you something. This is called an anecdotal experience. This is your personal experience. The reason we don't allow anecdotes in debates, right, is because we can't verify the claim. What we know is that the law prohibits it. What we know is they physically can't. What you don't know whether or not these were asylees. How do you know they weren't asylum seekers? How do you know? Like, do you know the difference between an undocumented immigrant and an asylee? What's the requirement for seeking asylum in the United States? This is the primary issue with Trump supporters. You do not know what undocumented means.
Well, here's the thing: if you're here as seeking asylum, it's for the fact that either something happened in your country that you did something wrong, or you're seeking for war, or something happened in your country that
Corey, we don't need you to educate us on this, Corey. Asylum seekers are legal.
You just
in the
said
United
this.
States.
I'm telling you. You
But
said,
they're
I don't know
legal
what seeking asylum means.
Corey, the reason
I'm telling you that's what that.
No, what I'm saying is you don't know that they're eligible in terms of their eligibility status. Asylees are eligible for SNAP, not undocumented immigrants. Asylum seekers are not undocumented. There's no way people walked by you and explained their eligibility status and that they weren't asylees in the second of you walking by them. Okay? It's just not true. And by the way, were they speaking English, Corey?
Yes, absolutely.
So they were speaking English, right? Walking by you and explaining their eligibility status, and they said enough in you passing by to determine they weren't actually eligible.
Oh, okay. If they're sitting next to me and my fiance, and they're discussing that they're undocumented, and then they walk into the back, and then they come out of the office, and they were talking about how they were approved because they're standing around. Before they left, they stood around, and they were talking about how they were eligible. How are you going to tell me that I'm lying and that I didn't see and hear what I heard and saw?
You are lying. You're absolutely making it up. Either they're lying or you're lying, but it's more than likely you're lying. So again, Corey, what we know, right, regardless of your little anecdote, which is not a part of a debate, you can't use a personal anecdote, is that undocumented immigrants contribute $100 billion in federal, state, and local taxes annually. $100 billion. The law explicitly prohibits them from benefiting from programs like SNAP, which means they're largely subsidizing those programs. They're not using those programs. This is a harsh reality, Corey, that a lot of people need to come to this realization.
The harsh reality is no matter what, we're gonna reach an impasse here because of the fact that you're gonna tell me that I'm lying about something, even though that
Corey,
I can say that I witnessed and heard something.
Corey, does it exceed $100 billion? Then no, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's yes, you aren't telling the truth, or they're not telling the truth, whatever the case is. But it doesn't seem realistic, Corey. So regardless, they contribute $100 billion, and the law prohibits them from benefiting from these programs. And those things are facts. They are indisputable. Did you know that they pay taxes? Did you know
wait a
that
minute.
they pay taxes? Did you
you're
know that they pay taxes?
Hold on, just let me ask a question real quick. So you're for people coming into the country illegally?
So my stance is that we have an incredibly flawed immigration system, okay? And I believe that we need to make it easier to become an American citizen. I believe that Republicans use fear-mongering about benefits and things like this to keep people like you supporting unconstitutional and inhumane deportation. I believe that it is far more productive to grant the people who are already here mass amnesty outside of violent offenders. I think violent offenders should be moved. Anyone who commits a crime like that needs to be away from society and not near people in this country. Outside of violent offenders, those people should be granted amnesty. They should be given an opportunity to become tax-paying American citizens, and we should embrace that and encourage that because that's who we are. That's who we are. That's who we've always been.
So that's your stance on the fact that that's who we are. That's the reason why your stance is we should have illegals.
No.
That's who we are.
Simplifying my argument when I just explained to you they are an incredible. They contribute positively to our economy. They contribute $100 billion in tax revenue. They commit very little
I'm
crime.
not saying that they're bad people. That's not. Don't tell me to shut up. I haven't been rude to you, so don't be rude to me.
I just told you to. Now stop talking. You don't know what you're talking about. Can you give me here's how I'm going to simplify it for you. Here, since you don't want me to explain all the positives, let me just simplify it for you. Can you justify spending billions of dollars to remove undocumented immigrants now that you know they are ineligible to receive SNAP?
100%, yes. I feel, yeah, absolutely.
Can you explain? Go ahead.
Why I feel like they should still be removed?
All right, you're still not listening. I'm going to give you one more chance or I'm going to move to the next guest. What justifies spending billions of dollars?
You know what? So move to the next guy. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Run for me. Run for me, my son. You can't answer the question. That's why you ran. You ran because you can't answer the question. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
How old are you?
30.
Okay. And why are you a Trump supporter?
It's complicated, man, but like I saw him go through his first term very successfully, and like, how do you say it, man? I agree with all the ideals generally speaking, but there are a couple of nuances where I kind of.
Okay.
Am I live right now?
Yeah. So again, don't worry about whether or not you're live. So what specifically, right, are the things that you see happening right now? Alicia with the 5 gifted subs. W Alicia in the chat. Thank you for your support tonight, Alicia. Guys, I would really appreciate supporting the live. You know how Mad Mag is. They're insulting me in the chat. You know, they're pissed at me, of course. They always are. But I don't know why they're pissed at me because I'm just telling the truth. Isn't that weird? Can you just tell me what specifically you think is good that's happening right now?
Security issues, primarily safety concerns, both securing southern border, securing a number of different like criminality factors in America, and keeping that under control. Where my divergence from the MAGA cause stems from is more or less support for Israel.
That's why you don't support MAGA, or you're mad at them?
Well, I mean, like, it's complicated, right?
No,
like,
I
I'd love
understand
to be
that.
on board, but
I
you know
agree
what
with
I'm
you.
saying?
I agree with you. I can't stand the way that Israel has infiltrated our political system and has ultimately we're at the point where, I mean, look what Donald Trump did. He dropped bunker busters on Iran, for Israel, right? This is an example of things I would agree with you on. But let's talk about what we disagree on, okay? What you said safety.
Okay.
What do you mean by safety? Be specific.
Security in neighborhoods, property, laws for stand your ground laws in regards to being able to defend your property. Donald Trump is on board with a lot of the America First ideals that you would generally see the world kind of have order, right? You could, someone breaks into your house, you can shoot them. That's a good thing in my book. There's generally speaking, a concerted effort to prevent illegal immigration, which is obviously I don't have to impart upon you why that's important. Although, I would say that some of the campaign promises in terms of being able to get out as many illegal immigrants as possible aren't really being fulfilled to the full extent.
Well, why would that make America safer? Let's just simplify it. Why would that make the United States safer? Why would the United States be safer under mass deportation?
Primarily because criminal aspects of the country would go along with that, but also because the ownership share of individual citizens and their ability to make a living for themselves and the quality of their life increases, specifically in proportion to the amount of people that you're allowing into your country, right?
That was a nice word salad. So I'm going to simplify the question for you so you can stop the pseudo-intellectualism. What specifically, right, makes it safer? What are undocumented immigrants doing? You're saying committing violent crime or something? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, it's more like driving down the value of your labor, right? Because
Sure.
They'll work for less money because they're there legally. So by, ergo, if there was fewer people who work for less money, you could probably charge more for your services.
Okay. So is it undocumented immigrants doing that, or is it the federal government? What's the federal minimum wage in this country?
I'm not sure, man. What is the federal minimum wage?
$7.25 an hour. $7.25 an hour. That's the federal minimum wage. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like a lot of that comes down to people being willing to work for.
So they make so much less. They're not driving down wages. Number two, they work in sectors that American citizens don't typically seek out. And there's an abundance of these positions in agriculture and construction and in food service, right?
But I would argue that the reason that Americans don't seek out these positions
they face the same low wages as American citizens do.
Get underpaid.
I'm sorry, what was the
Well, no, that's my problem. Is if I would say one of the reasons why that those type of jobs aren't being sought out by Americans is not because Americans are lazy or they don't want to do those jobs. It's more along the lines of the fact that they've driven the cost of labor so low because in part because of illegal immigration.
No, that's not true. It's just not true, right? These
I get that, but
just
how is that like contradictory?
Because these are physically demanding, low-paying positions to begin with, right?
I mean,
they suffer the
demanding
same
work has always been.
I'm sorry, go
like
ahead.
An American. Physically demanding positions are something I know Americans are willing to live with. I live in Alberta here in Calgary, so I'm actually a Canadian, there's not. I'm splitting hairs here, but high intense, physically demanding jobs. I know at least around here, a lot of guys that work on the oil rigs, that kind of thing, they make a lot more money because they're physically demanding, and there's not as much competition. I don't know.
Okay, so everything you said is not true because we've seen labor.
I'm just saying that
please let me finish. We've seen labor shortages when we conduct mass deportation in these sectors because American citizens don't automatically fill these positions, right? Their lower wages don't exert strong downward pressure on wages for American workers because they occupy jobs that are not competitive with most native-born American citizens, right? The undocumented immigrants have like a restricted labor market because they're undocumented. So they can't negotiate higher prices. That has nothing to do with American citizens. They make 35% less.
For them or something?
What?
Yeah, I mean, like that's the problem. I think we're actually closer to being on the same page about that. Is like the fact is that they're willing to work for less, so those positions don't get filled by Americans because Americans have a different mindset regarding value, right? They're not willing to work for $7 an hour picking fruit and the thing. But I'll tell you one thing:
I just explained to you.
If there was no, let me just follow the chain of logic here, though. If there was mass deportations and those jobs were now paying $30 an hour, Americans would probably work them, right?
Amy, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Amy G. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much, Amy. So the answer is no, which is why I just told you we've seen labor shortages in sectors when deportation is up. There's tons of research. There's tons of research on this, dude. Guy,
we're meeting American standards.
Guy,
Let's
what
just say
we've actually seen
we're being charging a company $30 an hour to go pick fruit. You don't
You're
think
wrong.
that
So let me
Americans
tell you something.
would come
there is
those
even
jobs
research.
For 30 USD an hour?
There is even research that it increases wages for low-skilled American-born citizens. There is no wage deductions as a result of immigration or undocumented immigration. There isn't any studies that will prove just that.
But you're not following. I'm saying there's a group of people that are willing to work those jobs.
What is this guy not comprehending about what I'm saying? Are you listening to me? Are you listening, or are you just listening to respond?
I'm listening.
I've answered your question already.
Gee, I'm listening.
Those we've already. It's not like we don't have evidence historically.
No, you're giving me a blanket answer to the question.
I'm not giving you a blanket answer. I told you, right? It doesn't exert downward pressure on wages for American workers because they largely occupy jobs and wage levels that are not directly competitive with most American-born workers, which is, I've tried to explain this to you. Then you said, well, I think if you paid more, if you increased wages, that's not an issue with undocumented immigrants because we've seen mass deportation before. They didn't increase wages to fill those positions. Those are just historically low-paying, physically demanding jobs. Your issue is with the federal government, which is my immediate response to you was to cite what is the federal minimum wage. The federal minimum wage in this country is $7.25. That's the issue, not undocumented immigrants. The minimum wage in this country has nothing to do with undocumented immigrants. Can you provide me any evidence to support your claim? Because it's just not true, right? They earn substantially less.
I guess it was just more like a basic chain of logic.
But here's the point I'm making, is American citizens are underpaid as well. American citizens have always been underpaid. So immigration's effect is minimal.
That does come down to them being like, some people are less confident, they don't negotiate as hard for wages, or they don't shoot for much higher than basic labor, but that's individuals, right? I guess enforcing a national.
I'm just trying to get you to understand wage, that, like the distinct markets, distinct labor markets they work in, right? Whether it's construction as laborers, whether it's in food services, dishwashers and prep cooks, whether it's in agriculture, American citizens don't seek these jobs out enough to make them high-paying jobs. They just don't. They're either temporary positions, young people work them, or low-skilled American-born citizens work them, right? So, and honestly,
it really wasn't like the issue I called them.
And honestly, immigrants, like truthfully, just across the board, ultimately have resulted in them paying more for those positions. Because let's be honest, in a lot of cases, they're just better workers. And that's the truth. They're just very hard workers.
Because we should let them in to exploit them, which I'm not fully.
So again, here was the question I framed to you in the beginning. Let's see if you can actually understand how we got to this point. Whenever we get here and go down this path, Trump supporters, you guys lose how we got here. We got here because I asked you to substantiate what justifies spending billions of dollars to remove them. And this was one of your, what justifies, but you first said American safety. So why don't you actually tell me how it makes Americans safer to conduct mass deportation?
Well, I mean, like it removes criminal elements from the country in totality. It is a baby-o with a bathwater approach to some extent, but on the other end of that, do we care?
I would
you know
have
what
to.
I mean?
So,
do we care about the lives of these people who just came into our country without? You know, it's not our country because I'm not an American, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Where do you live?
I'm saying that, like, ultimately,
where do you live?
It removes elements like cartel. I'm a Canadian.
Bro, you're in Canada debating me right now?
Yes, I'm in Canada debating you. Albertan. That's different. That's way different.
So let me explain this to you, and I'm going to wrap this up.
Alberta's way different.
But I know, but American citizens typically get annoyed when Canadians call in to debate American politics. We appreciate support from Canada, but people who support Trump from Canada, my Canadian supporters hate.
When did I say it was like a staunch Trump
you don't have to be a staunch. You don't have to be a staunch.
Like,
let me finish. People who support me who live in Canada hate people who support Trump who live in Canada. They don't want to hear you. They get super pissed off. I'm talking about the Canadians. They don't want to hear Maple MAGA people. They just tell me to shut them up and kick them. I'm going to just explain something to you. Can I just explain this to you so I can move on, please?
At the end of the day, it's more like fuck Israel, right?
Guy, yeah, that's great, and that's awesome, but let me just finish. So the point is, you said it makes it safer. There isn't any, I mean, you could certainly show me where undocumented immigrants are contributing to a rising crime rate, but they're just not. Right. They're just not, because they don't commit crime. Because when people come to this country undocumented, they have one goal, and that's to avoid law enforcement.
Immigrants don't create. Wait, are you saying that they don't engage in crime, or are you saying that they don't create new crime?
No,
I'm just
they
saying.
don't
Last time I checked,
it's
a rising
cartel,
crime right? It's the fucking drugs that get imported from Mexico.
So I'll explain it to you differently.
Per
capita, undocumented immigrants commit far less crime. It's not even close than American-born citizens. It doesn't matter where you look in the country. American citizens commit far more crime. So if it's really about, that can't be considered a legitimate consequence unless you can provide me a study that undocumented immigrants are contributing to a rising crime rate. They typically don't commit crime. They avoid law enforcement at all costs.
Look, I'm not claiming that I have informational, like, database statistics and all this shit to back up what I can commonly observe, but it stands to reason that, like, having greater border security would prevent more drugs from entering your country, right? Like, if the cocaine is coming from this part of the world and we make it harder to get through the border, less of the drugs are going to get in, less illegal immigration, which is a variable. It's a factor that you don't really, how you say, like a chaos variable.
Right. So the only point I'm making, here's the point I'm making. We have laws already in the United States that handle people who can commit violent crime. So people who commit violent crime absolutely should be arrested, absolutely should be removed. So that's there are already laws in place that handle those things. Okay, so that's not something new, and that's not something we need to mass deportate or demonize people for. We can just quite literally use our existing laws, which we're already doing, arresting and then serving their sentence and being removed. I'm asking you, right, what is a legitimate consequence of undocumented immigration that justifies spending billions, if not trillions of dollars to deport them?
I really didn't, I don't have an answer for that question.
Thank you.
Fully,
appreciate you calling. Jesus Christ. Of course you don't have an answer. God, that took a long time to get to that point. No, you don't have an answer. Why are so many MAGA people in chat crying right now? Guys, I would really appreciate the support to outweigh the hate that MAGA's giving me right now for some reason.
Call from
Frank.
It's nothing new, though, right? It's very typical of MAGA to hate me when I'm being very level-headed, straightforward, and truth-telling. What's your first name?
I have to make a duty.
Wow, you're a grown man that called to say that?
Call from
What's your first name?
Max.
How old are you?
22.
No, you're not.
call from
What's going on?
Dude, I did not run from your question. I was
I
hung
didn't.
up.
You didn't. I didn't say you ran from my question. I said I'm done. When you say you don't have an answer, it's time to move on. Stop calling back. You're in Canada. To all these people saying you're propaganda, guys, I don't use propaganda. Right? I just tell the truth. I'm pretty level-headed. You guys just don't like me because I'm on the left for whatever reason. Guys, if you're new here, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when I go live. I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you. Ollivander IRL, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. W. Ollivander, thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate the support. I just don't know why people are mad at me for loving every human being and not emphasizing the importance of people based on their documentation status. Ralph, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, Ralph. Appreciate you, buddy.
call from
Come on, guys, grow up. What's going on?
What?
What's going on? What, did I wake you up?
What are you talking about?
Dude, you called me. Why are you acting like I'm waking you up from a nap? Christopher, let's go with the $19.99 super chat. Let's go, Christopher. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. I really appreciate it. Go ahead, man. What's your first name?
My name is Zach.
Zach, how old are you, Zach?
I am 19.
You're 19. What year were you born?
2000.
No, you're not 19, Zach. Okay? I got to talk to adults, man. No offense. It's nothing personal. I'm happy that you're into politics. I love young people that are into politics. I was into them when I was young, but you can't talk to me about politics, right? You just can't. That's just not. You got to be an adult. So if you are, I don't think I need to put that on here, but if I need to put 18 plus, I will.
call from
John.
John, how are you, John? Are you a Trump supporter?
Actually, I find this, I'm a little conflicting for your live because I don't believe in any of it.
Okay, what don't you believe in?
I don't think that I don't think politics are actually real in a sense. Like,
Okay.
when they were initially created, I think there was a point to politics. There was a voting system, there were presidents. Now I think it's just puppetry, because if you watch what they do and you watch how the numbers roll and how our resources move, it all just goes up and down like your parent pretending a spoon is a plane.
I understand how it can feel that way, and I know people are going to hate when I say this, but it's the truth. Are you a white guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're centering the white experience. It's not that way for everybody, right? And local politics matter. We just watched Mom Donnie win in New York City. I think that's going to matter for people in New York City, right? So to say that it's just a show is just not true, right? Although I do agree with you that politicians largely are dishonest, I think that a lot of them are nothing short of evil and shouldn't be in elected politics. And I'm pretty critical of politicians across the board. I don't just support people because they're Democrats or because they're on the left. I've been very critical of Obama. I've been critical of Biden. I'm willing to be critical of all of them. But to say it just doesn't matter is just not true.
Yeah, no, of course. That's the biggest problem when it comes to politics and people, and I think that all of the American people need to be educated at this view to be mature with politics. Is everybody's going, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm this, I'm that, I want Hillary, I want Trump, instead of thinking, okay, well, Trump did a really good job trying to deport 2 million Mexicans or whatever they were this year, or Hillary slipped up letting emails out. Where was I going with this?
Who did you vote for?
I didn't vote.
Okay. So not voting is the first problem we have. Okay. But here's the best way I'll describe it to you. I'm going to keep this conversation somewhat short. Okay. Because you didn't vote. Donald Trump, what Donald Trump is doing is dismantling the Constitution, dismantling democracy. Okay. And ultimately, regardless of your political affiliation, you should believe in the Constitution, or at least believe in the amendment process to change the Constitution. You should believe in our system, right? Our democratic constitutional republic. Those at least you should believe in, bare minimum. So regardless of your political affiliation, you should have a problem with what Trump's doing, and that's worth your vote.
Yeah.
Okay? Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it, dude. Take care. See if we can get people ask me how is he dismantling it. Call in and I'll explain. Call in, explain. You guys are welcome to call in. If you guys are new here, I just started debating on YouTube. I usually debate on TikTok. I'm a political creator on TikTok. I'm new to YouTube. So if you guys do want to watch me debate, I debate pretty much every single day, do lives every single day. If you want to watch me debate, regardless of your affiliation, just make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, hit the notification bell.
Call from
Greg.
Greg, what's going on? Are you a Trump supporter?
We need Tim Tufel in office right away.
You're calling the what? What did that guy say?
Call from
He's calling the white boy office? What is that? What's the white boy office? Hello, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okay, how old are you?
24. My name is Miranda. I was born in March 2001.
How old are you?
24.
Okay, what's your name?
Miranda.
Okay. So, what are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I hate to say this. You sound like a kid. You sound like a child. I'm sorry. Can I get an adult to call, please? Can I get an adult, please? I would really appreciate an adult. Guys, if you don't think he's dismantling the Constitution, call in and ask, and I'll explain it to you. If you don't think he's dismantling democracy, call in and ask. You guys supported a guy who literally rebelled against the government. In violation of the Constitution, you supported him and you voted for him again. It doesn't get more sad than that. Yeah, what's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
Make your butt size bigger.
What? We can't hear you. What are you saying? We can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying, but we can't hear you.
Call from
Yo, my guy, you hung up on.
To accept, press.
Who is this guy? What do you want, dude? Which guy are you?
I'm the first guy, Canadian guy. Listen.
I'm not talking to you. Don't make me block your number. I already proved my point with you. Get out of here. Canadian calling in wanting to talk about American politics. I want to speak to United States citizens. You know who that is?
Call from
John.
John, what's going on? Are you a Trump supporter? Wow, that really hurt my feelings. I can't imagine being a grown man sitting at home and going, I'm going to prank Adam Gray.
Call from
Reggie.
I'm gonna prank him. What's up, dude? Are you a Trump supporter? Are you a Trump supporter? Ay, ay, ay. We got some real goofballs, man. John wants to call in and talk from Canada and tell us why we should be conducting deportation in the United States. That is insane, dude. Oh, my God. You guys are just... Guys, look. Here's the point. You supported Donald Trump after he tried to overthrow the government. After the insurrection, you went back and voted for him again. That proves everything I need to know.
Call from
Bob.
What's up? Are you a Trump supporter? What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
Niggermania.
Wow, that's good. You guys are so cool, man. You're hurting my feelings. You're hurting my feelings so bad. Listen, here's the thing about Trump supporters you guys have to realize, right? They are incredibly upset because, first of all, a lot of them are super uneducated. They don't really know what's going on. They don't really realize what's going on. And it's, you know, imagine being in a relationship, right, for 10 years and realizing that your significant other cheated on you. No, I am not Jewish. Imagine being in a relationship for 10 years and figuring out your significant other cheated on you. I mean, that would hurt your feelings, right? Hey, Mad Will, it really looks like your Fortnite streaming is working out, bro. It looks like it's working out. You must be a really good Fortnite streamer. Bro's spamming the chat, and I go to his channel, and it says aspiring Fortnite streamer. Ashley, thank you for the $9.99, Ashley. Really appreciate you. Says, Adam, you are the best. Thank you for speaking out, creating your platform, helping so many people. Thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ashley. W. Ashley. Listen, if you are happy that Mom Donnie won, type W in the chat. W Mom Donnie. Let's get some W Mom Donnies in the chat. Do I have any people that are upset with Mom Donnie getting elected? Are any people upset with what's happening with Mom Donnie? Let's hear it. I'm happy that Mom Donnie got elected. No, I just block their numbers. That's all I do. It's that easy. W. Mom Donnie. His speech was so good. We're getting more W. Mom Donnies than L. Mom Donnie. I'll tell you that. We're getting a hell of a lot more W. Mom Donnies than L. Mom Donnies. I'll tell you that much. That says a lot. Oh, so they're not ringing through while I'm talking. Yeah, I'll fix that. Scoozy with the $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Scoozy. Appreciate you, Scoozy. Yeah, I loved when Mom Donnie said, "Hey, Donald Trump, if you're listening, turn the volume up." God, man, that was fucking awesome, wasn't it? That was so good. Yeah, we love to talk to each other, don't we? Especially social Dems. People who are scared of socialism, who don't understand what Mamdani's trying to do. Yeah, those people typically. It's rage bait. Well, it looks like you got baited. No, once you make stupid calls, your phone number gets blocked. That's what happens. Mamdani does not support Sharia law. Mamdani does not support Sharia law. You would have to support Sharia law as a governing system. He doesn't support Sharia law as a governing system. He does not support it as a governing system. If you don't like Mamdani, you can call in and tell me what don't you like about Mamdani. He's not going to mess New York up. Do you know his policies? Do you understand what he's for, what he wants? What's wrong with universal child care? What's wrong with fast and free buses? That's what he's advocating for. Fast and free buses. That's what he's advocating for. He's advocating for universal child care. Why are you guys so upset at these things? Man, those Democrats are so bad. How dare they? How dare they want universal health care? The problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. You're not going to run out of other people's money. What are you talking about?
Call from
Eric.
Nick. Bro tried to make his voice sound deep. Yeah, this is Nick calling. Ollivander IRL, let's go. From Switzerland, W. Ollivander IRL, I really appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much. Seriously. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Ollivander. I know, this little kid's trying to call, and I just keep ignoring his call. He thinks he's trying so hard, it's fucking hilarious. I'm going to call his mom. Maybe I should do that live. Maybe I should call his mom live.
Call from
Jane Leroy.
What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, Adam, I am.
Okay, and why are you a Trump supporter?
Well, I was calling to maybe touch on something about you bringing up Mamdani.
Okay.
And I wanted to see maybe if you think that if you think the grocery stores, the free grocery stores, would work.
It remains to be seen, but I'm excited for it. Yeah. I mean, why are you opposed to it?
Well, I've heard that this was tried in other cities and it hadn't worked, but I guess the biggest thing I'm wondering is if I will be able to purchase my Tesla robots and my big black farmer cock.
Wow, that's really funny. Is comedy your first job or your second job? That's it. Guy, what do you think this is? Howard Stern in the 1990s? Like, that bothers me. I couldn't care less that you say that, dude. Like, this guy thinks he's funny. It's not even funny. At least be funny, you know? Oh, I truly love the fact that everything would be free and I want to live in a free world too. It's just not realistic. Guys, let me explain this to you again, right? I'm going to simplify it for you. Okay? In the simplest way. It's not free. We're taxing the wealthy their fair share. We're taxing the wealthy their fair share. It is not free. You say free as if it's people just, getting free shit because they want free shit. It's our government working towards trying to help the most vulnerable. Socialism is simply a guardrail so billionaires cannot take advantage of your basic rights: transportation, food, water, childcare. These are the things that matter. These are the things that matter. I can't believe there are people who don't support this. Like, I don't get it at all. I really don't. I don't understand why you're mad about it. I do not get it. It makes no sense. We should all be happy about it. The only people that lose are the billionaire, wealth-hoarding Republicans.
Call from
Rick.
Rick, what's going on? Are you a Trump supporter?
I am not. I think Trump is a Jew lover.
That's great. I appreciate your take, but I'm not going to go there. He definitely loves Israel. I think you're mischaracterizing it, though. Mom, Donnie will need state and Fed money to do it. Fails before it starts. You'll see. That's not entirely true, but you're going to see. I'm not into politics, but what is better? What is a better option than Trump? Harris would have been a better option than Trump. Harris, the Harris that had 107 days. You guys know this Harris that would have had 107 days. This Harris would have been better than Trump. And that's a fact.
Call from
Sean.
What's up, Sean? Are you a Trump supporter?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm looking for Trump supporters. Who did you support?
I don't vote.
Okay, so what are you calling in reference to?
I don't know. I just said.
This is a political live. I don't know what you're. Well, I don't know. I'm just bored. Well, I don't know. Go find a coloring book or something. What are you calling me for? Why are you guys so... first of all, I don't understand why people are assuming that Mamdani is connected to 9/11. Mamdani was born in Uganda. He was born in Uganda. Has no connection whatsoever. I think Harris was a fine choice. I don't think she had enough time to develop a relationship with the American people. I think that's exactly what happened. Was she perfect? No. Were there things I was critical of? Yes. But those are just things I'm typically critical of Democrats on.
Oh, Joe.
Democrats have issues too. What's going on?
Yo, what's up, bro?
Are you a Trump supporter?
100%.
Okay, and why do you support Trump?
Because he supports.
I don't know what happened to that guy. You can call back.
Still Shoemaker.
What's going on, dude? Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, and why are you a Trump supporter?
Because you're a guy.
What's up? Are you a Trump supporter? They own themselves. If you're not political and you don't vote, then you shouldn't be calling me, right? That doesn't make any sense. What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
Bill.
Bill, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okay, and why?
I like a lot of the things he's done so far, such as the border crisis, what he's doing against drug cartels.
Okay, so you talking about the Venezuela bombing the vessels and stuff?
Correct.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Look, I'm not opposed to people who prey on American citizens and their disease of substance use disorder being criminally punished. But there's no due process. How do we even know those people were carrying anything in those vessels? Like, does it work as a long-term solution? I think those are my immediate concerns.
And I think those concerns are fair concerns like anything else. If we're causing any sort of bodily or death to anyone, you want it to be justified. I would hope that they've done their due diligence. I don't have the answer to say, yes, 100% those other people. But what I can definitely identify with is the amount of death in America in the last decade or so from fentanyl specifically.
Agreed.
So I truly support what we have to do, but again, I do agree with you that there should be some due process, of course, and my faith is that we're doing that.
So you're right. The FRUG specifically, and I agree with you. That's a big problem, and I have a lot of issues with that. But my concern is going to be the precursor doesn't come from Venezuela. So it can't be F. I don't think it's F that is the issue in this case. It doesn't come from Venezuela. It comes from China, right? It can be trafficked through Mexico through legal border crossings, but it does not come from Venezuela. So when I look at this, I have to look at what have we done historically, right? We've made claims about countries doing certain things and justifying invasions, because I truly believe the reason Trump is doing this is to justify invading Venezuela. He needs a legal justification. They're harming my country, and this is a legal justification for an invasion. And I think that's what he's essentially doing. I'm not buying into it. And I do look at the fact that we've lied about connections to 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction to enter the global war on terror and invade Iraq and unalive over 1 million Iraqi civilians. So I'm not sure I just trust our government enough when they say, hey, they were trafficking in these substances, especially when the substance we're referring to isn't even made in Venezuela. I think I have a problem with this, and I don't think it's a long-term solution anyway, because I don't think bombing vessels ultimately solves the problem. I think we need health care for people who are suffering from substance use disorder, right? They need affordable and accessible health care. That's what we need, right? We don't need more military action, more criminal punishment. We need affordable and accessible health care for people who suffer from substance use disorder. That's what we need. And that I look at it like a supply and demand issue, right? If we're constantly attacking the supply and we never treat the demand. The demand is the people who are suffering in the United States. They need health care. And that's the difference between us and other countries, and that's why this problem is so significantly worse here.
Well, I think that's a good point. But just because something isn't manufactured in a certain country does not mean that country does not support the various assets and various ways it can be distributed, right? So if Venezuela, which we do confidently know, is one of these transportational middle ground governments that is very crooked, like undeniably crooked, whether you support Trump or don't support Trump, the evidence is
he's a dictator,
the Venezuelan government.
Yeah, he's a dictator, sure.
Yeah. So just to say that the F word, and I apologize for saying that first, but the F word isn't manufactured necessarily there, doesn't mean that they aren't, very dirty and have their hands very dirty. As far as healthcare, I do agree to an extent. That's also a people problem. I don't think we educate society enough to make the correct choice to even forego and get help, because I just think they've gone about it in a very wrong way, such as treating substance abuse with other substances to help, right? And then they're addicted to those substances instead of the one that they were on originally. And that just is a rabbit hole for, the pits of society. We have given literal blocks of cities to say to people, hey, if you do this, this is where you belong, and it's okay to do this in this part of the city. So to say that we need to support healthcare, I do agree to an extent, but also the way that people have portrayed this as a disease rather than a choice and an addiction that's made every day, that's also a part of the problem.
Okay, so there's two parts to what you just said that are incorrect and indisputable. And you could certainly try and dispute them, and we can have a conversation about it. Number one is, it is a disease, and that's science. That's not disputable. It's a disease with genetic components, right? So people are genetically predisposed to substance use disorder, right? There is absolutely a genetic component. That's number one. Number two, you said blocks of cities they can just do it in. So first of all, I don't know what you mean by blocks of city they can just do it in, but if we're referring to safe injection sites, which is what I'm assuming you're referring to, what we have discovered through the use of safe injection
Kensington
sites.
Ave in Philadelphia.
Well,
if you go to Block Ave in Portland, Maine. If you go to the multiple blocks,
they just raided.
In
if
the
you're
city
talking
of Portland,
about Kensington, they just
you can do whatever you want to do.
So,
but after years and years and years and years.
Okay, but
right?
what I'm saying is that the law is still applicable.
You can't say it's a healthcare issue. I understand, but you said there was a supply and a demand problem.
There is.
But if we're constantly saying that the demand is something that people cannot control, which is what you're implying by a disease, go tell a 4-year-old kid with cancer that they have a disease and it's the same thing as someone who's an addict. I mean,
no,
it
doesn't have to be this. So first of all, right, it doesn't have to be the same thing. And it's funny that you brought up a kid. Children, right, adults, whatever, cancer has environmental factors. Okay, people smoke cigarettes, people live near factories that dispose of harmful chemicals. Substance use disorder has environmental factors just like these diseases. But what you're not understanding is there is a genetic component. There is absolutely a genetic component. People are more likely to suffer from substance use disorder in certain cases. And a lot of these people didn't just start out by going to these blocks you're referring to. That's a result of lack of health care. When you see places like Kensington, that is because we have no health care. That is because we have no health care.
Well, let me ask you this.
Hold on.
Are you implying that
safe
Are
injection?
you implying that everyone who has this genetic disorder, if you will, are automatically addicts? Because what about the people that have it and aren't addicts?
Didn't I just tell you there are environmental factors? There's
you did,
trauma.
But you related it to a specific disease.
No, what I'm saying to you is there are environmental factors for diseases. That doesn't make them not a disease. I'm simply debunking the idea that because there are environmental factors, that doesn't automatically mean it's not a disease. Other diseases have environmental factors, right? People make decisions that alter whether or not they're likely to have a disease or die from a disease or not. Smoking cigarettes, people with diabetes, there's all sorts of decisions people make, right? And there are environmental factors. That doesn't dismiss that there's a genetic component. There is, in fact, a genetic component. Arguing with that is essentially saying you're arguing with the leading scientist, right? Like it is, dude.
No, because I'm not disagreeing that there is a genetic.
Then it's a disease.
Well, I think there's a correlation, but I don't prescribe to the tune that tuberculosis and the daily choice to do a drug are the same thing, whether it's environmental or not. One is
Why
a
are
choice
you
daily, and
comparing
one
it
is not
to
a choice.
other diseases? You don't need to compare it to other
Because
diseases.
you're saying you're saying it's a disease. So
It
comparable
is.
To that
Wait, so
would
hold
be
on. Where'd you go to
another
medical
disease.
school?
Well, that's what.
Where'd you go to medical school?
Brother, you asked me why I'm comparing it to a disease, and I'm telling you the reason I'm comparing
Where
it to
did
a
you
disease.
go to medical school, and why would you dispute its genetic component?
I'm not disputing that there is a genetic
Then
component
it
to
is a
You asked me
disease. Do
why
you
I-
understand you can't have
Correct.
it both ways? You can't have it both ways. So let me explain this.
What comparable disease?
It
what
doesn't
disease do you
need to be
compare it
compared to anything. Why are you trying to compare it to something?
Why can't-
So let me explain.
Why
let me.
can it be? Why
You
can't
don't
it
need
be,
to.
though? You
It's
can compare
comparable
every
to
other
any
disease
disease
to
with
each
a
other.
guy. It's comparable to any disease with a genetic component. So again, as I told you, when people smoke cigarettes, right, and they get cancer, do we say, "Well, it's your fault you smoke cigarettes"? No, we treat their cancer. Okay? People are more likely to suffer from this disease with a genetic component, right? They are more likely to have this disease than other people. It is, in fact, something they inherited. So let me explain this. I don't know. I can't believe. Are you dense? I don't know. I'm trying to be polite, but you're kind of being dumb here. The thing you're referring to, right, is safe injection sites. Do you agree with supplying people a safe place to use these substances if you don't want them on the street, right? Do you want to supply them with safe places?
First of all, I didn't use the word safe injection site. I said that there are
Because you
parts
didn't
of
know
the
what a
city,
safe injection site
specific
was.
Blocks. Of
Yes,
course I
I'm
did.
asking you a question. I'm referring to the argument about those blocks. They're on the street because they don't have the presence of safe injection sites. It's hard to talk to these guys because some of them are just stupid, and it's really hard to have a conversation.
You're dancing around questions. You're saying it's a disease, and
Oh God, I can't. This guy's just too stupid. Can somebody competent call in, please? Yeah, I'm not dismissing it has a genetic component, but it's not a disease. If it has a genetic component, it's a disease, simpleton. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. So let me explain this really quick. Yuri, shut the fuck up. Nobody gives a fuck. Shut up. God damn. So let me explain this very simply put. Safe injection sites are the response to what's happening.
Call from
Andy.
Safe injection sites are the response to what's happening in the street. If you have streets full of people who are using these drugs, safe injection sites are the response to that problem by providing clean paraphernalia to stop the spread of disease, by being in the presence of Narcan to reduce the rate of overdose death, which you were just referring to previously as the problem, right? And to properly introduce people to treatment. Are you a Trump supporter? What's your first name?
Me?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm on hold or if this
Nope,
is
you're here. What's your
being
first
taken.
name? How
Oh,
old
my
are
name's
you?
Andy.
Did I already talk
My
to
name's
you?
Andy, 48. I am not a Trump supporter, so I'm a Trump voter.
Didn't I
I
already
voted
talk
for
to
him,
you?
but no.
Oh, okay.
Maybe there was somebody else. But I heard you. I heard you guys going off on substance abuse and
Substance
addiction
use.
and harm reduction
Yeah.
and
Substance
all of
use,
that
not
stuff.
abuse.
And I taught drugs and society and current perspectives on substance abuse classes for close to a decade, and I thought I might be able to contribute positively to the discussion. But
Sure,
while
yeah.
there may be a genetic cluster, there is no gene for alcoholism, and there is no evidence overall that any group of people is necessarily more susceptible to addiction when considering environmental factors than any other group of
We didn't
people.
say
Because
environmental
I would posit that, the ability to be addicted is
there a genetic
natural,
component to
positive
addiction?
drive.
Is there a genetic component to addiction?
There may be.
We were referring to opioid addiction.
But
by the
there's
way.
no guarantee.
Can I finish?
There is
Can I
no
finish?
guarantee.
Do you notice how you said alcoholism and not
By all means,
substance
you're
use?
sure.
Notice how you said alcoholism and tried to pivot to a different topic. We're referring specifically to
Doesn't matter.
substance. No, it does matter.
I said addiction.
Right. Okay, so do you know what the GWAS is then? What's the GWAS?
You know, it's funny is that you're selling. You're basically
what is
trying
the
to say like, oh, you
I'm
don't.
going to debunk what you said right now. What is the GWAS? You studied for 10
I
years
don't
and
remember.
you don't know what the GWAS is?
No, I don't remember right now because I'm drunk.
Ah, okay. Well, call back when you're sober, okay? But you should probably look it up. 30 to 60%. 30 to 60%. Look it up. Specific genes related to opioid receptors. Specific genes related to opioid receptors. Let me do this really quick. This guy's trying to spam. Specific genes related to opioid receptors. OPRM1, OPRD1. So what you're saying is incorrect. You're just yapping. And you clearly have never studied it. That's clearly not true. I studied it for 10 years, but I've never done the research. Listen. You don't know what you're talking about. There are quite literally specific genes related to the opioid receptors, which is what we're referring to. People aren't standing in the streets in line to buy bottles of vodka. They're in line in the streets to buy fentanyl. You guys can look this up. You don't need to argue with me. You can just look it up. You can believe me or not, or you can believe that idiot. He has zero clue what he's talking about.
Call from
Billy.
Billy, are you a Trump supporter? You got to eliminate your echo, Billy. Are you a Trump supporter?
I am a Trump supporter.
Okay, so first of all, let me say this really quick. To the Trump supporters in chat, you're so far behind in the race, you actually believe you're leading. You guys talk about IQ. You're literally the dumbest people on planet Earth. So, Billy, why do you support Trump? Sorry,
Trump's tariffs are doing really good. They're good for the economy. The tariffs are great.
Great, Billy. How old are you and where are you from?
I'm from Texas. I'm 44.
You're from Texas and 44? Okay, why did you vote for Trump? Give me 3 good reasons to support Trump.
Because Trump cares about the people. He wants to get all them people out of the country that shouldn't be here.
And why should we do that?
Because we got to get rid of the bad people.
Okay, but what do you mean by bad? We're already getting rid of people who committed violent offenses, if you mean prior to the Trump administration, so it's not relevant.
All these people are coming in the country to taking the jobs. We need to get more jobs for the Americans.
All right, let's talk about it. What jobs are they taking?
They're taking all the jobs. They're taking the jobs in the restaurants. They're taking the jobs in the dollar stores, everything.
Billy, are you kidding me? I thought the last caller who claimed he worked in addiction but called it substance abuse, which nobody who works in that field calls it substance abuse. We call it substance use. But I thought he was probably the dumbest. Billy, I thought he was the dumbest person tonight, but you might top it. I'm asking you. Answer the question. We already have those laws. We already have laws in place to remove people who are violent offenders. What are they doing that makes them bad people?
They're coming into our country. This is our country. We got to protect our country. Trump even said everything is going good under his term. Look at it. We got the best economy. Everything's brilliant.
Okay. So how's the mass deportation operation going for American citizens? Do you have a problem with the fact that people are being thrown on the ground and handcuffed? Caleb, the term is substance use.
I
substance
think that's
use
fake news.
disorder.
That's just CNN.
Go ahead.
No,
what?
that's just CNN people. The
All right,
CNN
tell me.
people,
Explain it
they're
to me.
always making the fake.
Explain it to me.
The CNN people are making the fake news. Trump is doing everything right. He's helping the Americans. We got better tariffs. The tariffs get the Chinese. They also.
Who pays a tariff, Billy?
The Chinese, they pay the tariff.
No. Billy, stick to the simple question I asked you, right? You don't even know who pays a tariff, so you're not going to be discussing tariffs. American citizens, American tax-paying citizens, consumers pay tariffs. What are they doing that makes them bad people, Billy?
They're not. They're going against Trump, and they're coming in the country. Trump's the president. They need to respect the president first off, and second off, they can't come in the country illegally. I can't go to another country illegally. Not that I would. The United States is the best country in the world.
There's just no way these people are real. It's hard to even tell if they're just real or not because they're all so dumb. This is insane. So again, Billy, I'm going to give you one more shot and then I'm kicking you. Not respect the president is a dumb answer. What are they doing that makes them bad people?
They're coming in here and they're beating our people. They're taking our jobs. They're not paying taxes. They're illegal with no license.
They're taking our
They're
jobs.
driving around our country without a license.
Sure.
I mean, think about it.
Let's do it. Sure. So
Yeah, they're driving around the country.
Billy,
without license. They're not
shut
paying
up.
taxes.
Billy, stop
They're not
talking.
paying-
Billy, stop
They're
talking.
paying tax.
Billy, stop talking. What jobs are they taking?
Listen, Trump's going to win in 2028.
Have a good day, Billy. The 22nd Amendment prohibits Donald Trump from running again. Go to bed. Holy shit. Enough JD for tonight, Billy. Enough JD for tonight, Bill.
Call from
JT.
Justin Timberlake, what's going on? Do you support Trump?
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, man. Yeah, I used to. I still kind of do.
What do you mean? What happened?
I'm not gonna lie. I disagree with him on most of the things about Israel, but
Same,
as far as
dude.
immigration, yeah, no, the Israel thing is pretty crazy.
The Israel thing with the United States is bullshit across the board.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
go ahead.
and a
But
lot of
Trump
the-
bootlicks
the
Trump
fact that-
bootlicks quite heavily. But yeah, it's I can
Yeah.
be critical of politicians across the spectrum. Fetterman, for example, is a good one. There's a lot of them. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people in Congress, they take the Israeli money and they kind of, it's pay for play. That's irritating, and I don't know how we would change it at all. But
Well, we got to get
get
rid of we got to get rid of AIPAC. That's what we have to do. That would be a start.
Well, the last one to do that was JFK, and that didn't work out too well.
He tried to, yes.
Yeah, he didn't get very far.
So, but
as far
anyway,
as
the
everything
point
else
is,
that Trump does-
why do you still support him a little bit? Let's try see if we can clarify. Is it the deportation stuff or what is it?
I think for the most part, reinforcing a strong border is pretty important.
Okay.
I much prefer him over Kamala, that's for sure, because she changed her voice depending on what state she was in. I couldn't get behind that at all. I grew up in like a super half and half household, so I'm 50-50 on a lot of issues. My wife is Hispanic, and she disagrees with me on a lot of things. But I think overall, I support.
Is she?
what
I'm not
they
trying to be
stated.
disrespectful when I ask this, but
There you
she's documented, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah.
she's opposed to mass deportation.
She's 50-50. Before the election, she was, she gets kind of upset every time somebody who's Hispanic does like a crime. I'm sure just like anybody else does of any demographic, if you see your people messing up, then you feel in a way responsible or connected.
Do you get upset when white people commit crimes and are, American citizens, just generally speaking,
partially.
are the people contributing to a rising crime
Yeah.
rate, not undocumented immigrants?
Yeah, of course. I mean, especially like, the whole jokes, or not jokes necessarily, that all white people are the school shooters and things like that.
Well, they largely are.
That feels
but-
bad because yeah, well, a lot of mass shooters are also of different colors, if you want to count, like gang violence, things like that. That was what Charlie Kirk was debating right before he got shot.
But you wouldn't count gang violence for school shootings.
No, but mass
He was
shootings would.
arguing for mass shootings, or what would be classified as a mass shooting. But
Well,
go ahead.
At least where I grew up, a lot of people who brought guns to school, they weren't my complexion. They were African American.
How did you
they
conduct
would
that
either have
study?
it in their book bag.
Well, I'm just telling you,
Oh, well,
more than
I mean,
half of
just
the
off of
people
what I
who
see every day
commit,
going to school.
well, just more or less, more than half the people that commit mass shootings, including school shootings, are white. So regardless, even if you include what you're talking about, it's still more than half.
I mean, I'm not too well versed on it.
Yeah, it's like 50
I know
something
that
percent.
The broad majority, yeah. they're
So
white.
anyway,
But
what's
also a lot
making
of
you
those
hang
are
on to? So you said mass deportation is what's keeping you attached to your support for Trump. What are undocumented immigrants doing that justifies spending billions of dollars to remove them? It's a very simple question, and we're talking billions, if not trillions, of dollars conducted over a 10-year period, probably quicker than that. What specifically are they doing that justifies that kind of policy?
I think it's off of principle. If they come here illegally, what makes them want to respect every other law that we have?
Okay. And I'm going to connect with you here by saying, why did you then feel it was a good idea to vote for a convicted felon to the highest position in government?
Convicted?
Yes.
We can debate. I mean,
all right, let's
was-
debate it. Well, why isn't he
They're
convicted?
dropping charges from what I heard last. I didn't really keep up with it after I heard that.
You heard what?
I heard that they were dropping the charges.
Yeah, that never happened. Nobody said that. What you probably misunderstood and was mischaracterized by Republicans to lead you to believe that was that he received what's called an unconditional discharge 10 days before the inauguration. At the judge's discretion, right, you can receive what's called an unconditional discharge. The reason the Judge Merchan, decided to give him an unconditional discharge was because he didn't want to interfere in his ability to govern. He didn't feel that it would be responsible to put him in prison 10 days before the inauguration, right? So he received an unconditional discharge. He is still a convicted felon in the state of New York. So when we go back to your standard being the law and just on principle, just to quote you, it can't be on principle because you voted for a 4-time indicted civilly liable fraudster, right? Civilly liable rapist. So it can't be just on principle, right? Because he's a convicted felon. Had those other cases gone to trial, he probably would have been convicted as well. The documents case was incredibly strong, full of proof of obstruction of justice. Then you had conspiracy to defraud the United States. And then, of course, you had the RICO case in Georgia.
Do you support Biden being charged for the same thing?
Sure. Which one? Documents?
The documents, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't support it because that case was investigated, right? And the distinct difference, and if you read Robert Hur's report, did you read Robert Hur's report on the Biden investigation?
A summary, I scanned over it.
Sure. So if you read Robert Hur's report, right, he laid out, right, what the difference between those two cases were and why ultimately Donald Trump was prosecuted and not Joe Biden. He actually said, and unlike Donald Trump, Joe Biden cooperated with authorities, allowed for the search of his properties, and voluntarily sat down for interviews and in other ways cooperated with the investigation when Donald Trump obstructed justice. Donald Trump did a lot of things to obstruct justice during the course of that investigation. That case wasn't solely about, right, willful retention of classified documents. It was more or less about lying to investigators, lying on an affidavit, right, ignoring a government subpoena, ordering that boxes be moved after receiving a government subpoena, enlisting people to destroy evidence. So obstruction of justice, which is mostly what that case is made up of, is the difference between what Biden did and what Trump did. So no, I don't support Biden being prosecuted. Well, why don't you think Biden was prosecuted? What was your interpretation?
As far as I remember, because this was a while back, and a lot of things, I'm very interested in all the geopolitics, so I really try and not keep up with the U.S. stuff as much. I understand that it was because of his old age. They feel like prosecuting him was kind of a waste of time and money.
Okay. On Biden or Trump?
On Biden.
Yeah, so again, like I said, he cooperated with the investigation. What people don't know is they didn't want to prosecute Trump in that documents case. A case that relies solely on willful retention is going to be a pretty difficult case to prosecute because you have to prove intent, right? Intent is going to be a primary aspect of proving whether or not someone is guilty in a case like that. Well, what proves intent? Obstruction of justice, right? The lengths you go to conceal the fact that you're in possession of these documents. Donald Trump did so many things to obstruct that investigation, they had no choice but to indict him. He did not in any way want to be indicted. I mean, they didn't want to indict him. They wanted to sit down with him. He refused to show up. They wanted him to return the documents. He refused to cooperate. And unfortunately, it resulted in him getting indicted. Biden cooperated. He cooperated with the investigation, and ultimately they didn't think they could successfully prosecute the case. As you saw, if you read the Robert Hur report, he said that the jury would perceive Biden as an elderly, well-meaning man with a poor memory rather than someone with criminal intent.
Fair. What do you think about after presidents leave office? Should they keep their clearances and any documents they keep, or should they turn them over to the National Archives?
Well, the law is they need to turn them over if they're requested. So I think they should turn them over. Yeah. I'll give you an example of why. If you know anything about the documents case for Trump specifically, in the documents case, right, in the indictment for that case, they included a recording, was a mention of a recording where Donald Trump is sharing classified documents about attack plans for Iran with a reporter and an aide. That's why I don't think they should be in possession of. And surely because he wanted to boast about his time. You know, he wanted to try and dispute some claim that General Milley had made. It's not a good idea, certainly depending on what information we're talking about, but to just allow them to have the sole unilateral authority to declassify whatever they want and take whatever they want with them. It's a threat to national security.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, especially in a day and age where it seems like everybody is our adversary. I think locking everything down is a little bit of a smarter idea.
Especially anyway. Iran, you know. You said you pay attention to geopolitics. So what did you think about Trump deciding to drop? Like, what do you think about him being a peacetime president? Let me hear your take on that. I don't need to zone in on one specific conflict, but how do you think he's done geopolitically?
I think overall, I don't think he's done terrible. I think that if I had the same information that he had, I'd probably make a lot of the same choices. Maybe I would definitely be a little bit harder on China. I would, especially with NATO and the drone incursions that have been happening over there. I would be way more stonewall against Russia.
On Russia,
but Venezuela, I do agree with what he's been doing.
So I agree. I would say that I don't agree with the Venezuela part, but I agree with the comment you made about Russia. The problem is, though, with that is he initially took a different approach and started supporting Putin in a sense when Biden, I think, had the right approach, which was we need to support Zelensky. We don't need to be sitting down with Putin, and Russia needs to leave Ukraine, right? That's the economic heartland of Ukraine. Donald Trump just recently said we should potentially draw battle lines, right? We should stop the war at the battle lines, which means that Russia would maintain possession of the economic heartland of the country. So Ukraine would never recover and ultimately could fall back into the hands of Vladimir Putin. Again, he does things like this that just irritate me, right? Like, I don't think he really knows what he's talking about with that, but he had such a massive ego and his inability to negotiate that he put us in this predicament where now Russia has launched the deadliest attack since the beginning of the war. They're provoking NATO, right? I think we're closer to World War III than ever with this situation because he decided that he thought flattering Putin would ultimately allow him to get what he wants, and it didn't. It didn't, and we told him this wouldn't work. And the reason you can't sit with authoritarian dictators like Putin, it just emboldens them. It does not do anything but embolden them. The same way it gave power and legitimacy to Kim Jong-un, who now uses that meeting as state propaganda and has since the meeting, who conducted missile testing weeks after they signed a comprehensive agreement. It does not work. You should have supported Zelensky, and that's it, period. And told Putin, get out, and then we'll talk. Leave, and then we'll talk. You know?
Well, from what I could tell, especially the meeting with, like, the meme where, like, oh, you don't hold any of the cards, I think that a lot of that ended up hurting us in the long run. But if they win the war, it could be good for us. Because he was trying to negotiate, like, economic cooperation with Ukraine during and after the war. And I also think that in a way of trying to distance us from Ukraine, it was trying to get Europe to kind of pull the weight a little, because the numbers in their military is pathetic, really, especially seeing as how close we are to some sort of conflict. I feel like a lot of Europeans kind of got done after World War II, and now they just don't care. They don't want anything to do with war, and they don't really care if they get steamrolled in the process. And
but you know, you do know,
yeah,
and you're not completely wrong, but you do know that is the same mentality they had, or we had specifically, but they had as well post World War I. It ultimately resulted in the expansion of the Third Reich. Isolationism doesn't work either. You have to engage
appeasement doesn't work.
Huh?
Appeasement doesn't work for sure, and I feel like a lot of
you can't be isolationist.
That
Isolationism just doesn't work, right? Like, you have to. In this case, we have an agreement. Whether there's an enforcement mechanism or not, and it's a different discussion because it's technically not a treaty; it's a memorandum. But you have the Budapest Memorandum there that ultimately you should uphold and support Ukraine. I mean, so you have something there. But yeah, what about Venezuela specifically, that you support that situation? You're not too far off with Russia and Ukraine, but what about Venezuela?
I think a lot of it is positioning to either, I mean, I don't know how to say this politely, like in a way to blackmail Venezuela from turning away from China and Russia, which is not going to work, or overall it's about regime change, which is proven to not really work.
Correct.
But I do support keeping them out, and I think having a more aggressive approach is going to keep them on their toes, maybe keep them from messing around with the U.S. a little bit, especially because if they end up being like a regional power, because they're friends with Colombia, if, say, one day
they're also friends with
Colombia,
China and Russia. They're backed by both China and Russia.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's why we're kind of close to the Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing I would ask you, keeping them out. So you're right. Here's the thing I don't understand. You're close to not being a Republican, dude. At least not a Republican. I don't know about on the left, but I can tell that you understand that he's not doing good geopolitically. I don't think you've said anything he's done positively, but I'd ask you, how do you know what they're trafficking in without due process? Because as you admitted, toppling regimes like we did with Saddam Hussein ultimately can result in far worse consequences, right? Toppling the Saddam Hussein regime resulted in the formation of the Islamic State, which was Al-Qaeda in Iraq and became far more powerful after Saddam Hussein was gone. Yes, he's evil. Is it our business Should we be engaging in it? Right? We don't have. I mean, in my opinion, what he's doing is saying that they're trafficking in these substances. Whether they are or not is up for interpretation. But I'm going to tell you, your argument is going to rely heavily on U.S. intelligence when you just admitted that the United States has lied before about justification for invading countries. This is the most oil-rich, available oil reserve, right, known to man, and they're incredibly mineral rich, and he's trying to find a legal justification to invade them. That's my opinion. How do you know that they're trafficking in these substances the way he's saying? You don't.
I also think that maybe a lot of the motives would be because they're so close to China and Russia that rather than immediately jumping into like a European conflict or an Asian conflict, he wants to kind of get the America's house in order a little bit before moving on to those issues. Or, I mean, because right now, if, say, Venezuela, Iran, China, Russia team up right now, and North Korea, that's a world war on many different continents, and it would be the first time a world war is like officially fought boots on ground in the Americas. So maybe it's a little bit, we don't know. We're not in his position. We don't have his clearances. I think there's way more to the problem than what we're seeing.
It's possible.
As far as
saying,
the drug trafficking, for sure.
It's possible.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I haven't seen it, so it's impossible for me. That's why I don't understand why people just support it without any actual evidence. Like, we have absolutely no idea without due process. But and I'm going to say, regardless of whether or not they can enforce it, it's against international law to just shoot missiles at vessels, right? I mean, with no due process. You can't just blow these vessels up and claim that they're carrying narcotics that ultimately will be trafficked in the United States. It's not legal. And I can't possibly support that. So when you look at all of these issues, can you give me one positive thing? Like what do you think? How do you think he's done overall? What grade would you give him looking at all of these things we've gone over? Also, let's talk about Iran. Right? You talking about doing Israel's bidding? Drops bunker busters on Iran. Right? Tears up a diplomatic solution to them obtaining weapons-grade enriched uranium, and then drops bombs on their enrichment facilities as a long-term solution to the problem, which we know it's not a long-term solution. This guy is an idiot. I'm not sure why you support him at all. I don't get it, man.
Mainly, I mean, he's a lesser of two evils for sure. Last election with Iran, I think it's a double-edged sword. Either they get nukes and they become a country like North Korea, where they're impossible to invade. They have very tough mountain terrain, so boots on the ground would be almost impossible. Navally, any issues would be pretty rough because all they can do is just drop a nuke on one of our most advanced carriers. That'd be pretty awful. Or we prevent it and we end up in another conflict and we're back in the sandbox for another 20 years. I think that either way we're kind of screwed. Damned if you do, damned if you don't on really any of these situations. Overall, I think I'd give him a B- because.
Oh no! No way.
I mean,
no way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, for me, because we're not in a conflict.
Well, let me just address the Iran point. So let me address the Iran thing.
Yeah.
So first of all, whether or not they were near weapons grade enriched uranium? Do you know what percentage weapons grade enriched uranium is?
Not off the top of my head. Maybe like 80%,
90%, right? Benjamin Netanyahu, right, and I believe this relied heavily on Israeli intelligence, has been claiming that Iran was weeks away. So I don't believe it's credible. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu, coincidentally, is also